We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming, but it still doesn't make it easier to it doesn't make it easier to swallow. Take is gone? Question mark. Is she officially gone at this point? Is she just asleep? That's the massive question mark there. But it really does feel like we've been flagging this for a while now. This idea that what if she possibly could lose those memories? Because there's so much emphasis, especially this last arc, with the idea of getting the mom involved and everything. It almost felt like Take was trying to get. She was starting to get a lot of Marika's memories back. And additionally, she was talking about the idea that she doesn't want to rob Marika of her life. It was emphasizing the idea that the what if scenario that Take says, you know what, we've had our time, but I need to focus on being Marika. I need to live as this Marika. I can't steal this body from Marika. I can't be your wife anymore. I need to be with this family. I need to move on as Marika. And it sucks to have with this episode almost feeling like it's being forced. All right, you've handled everything. And I think that's really probably a big part of why Take came back. That's why she kind of came into the mind of Marika. And the idea that Take had unfinished business, that her family is not doing well. So, okay, bring her back. Bring her back so she can fix the situation. And she's fixing Keisuke. Keisuke seems a lot happier. They got to do a lot of things they wanted to do. With Mai, she's able to move on. She's able to get a husband, soon to be husband, get married, get a good job, and be happy. And yes, even fixing her own home, fixing Marika's home. That's a lot to do with Take herself. So all these things are finished, and she starts to get tired. And I almost feel like that tiredness is really like Take's going to sleep. I've got it all solved. Everything's good. It's time to go to sleep. It's time for Marika to take back over. And then it happens. I knew it was coming. I think the moment they're walking down that street, I'm like, it's going to happen, isn't it? It's going to happen. Everybody's too happy. Everything's so solved. Something's got to happen. And sure enough, she jumps off of Keisuke's back. What a little kind of uncomfortable situation there as well. Like, I think that's a moment where I want to say that I would pivot very quickly. Like the moment that she kicked off and started panicking and wondering where her mom is, I was like, I think that there would have to be a trigger point there. You know, this is not a normal situation. I can see Keisuke having a bigger problem with it because he still envisions his wife. He still always sees Take whenever he sees Marika. But I think Mai would probably done a lot better job of kind of going, okay, Dad, hold on. It's okay, Marika. We're just walking you home. We're taking you to your mother. Don't worry. Come on, it's fine. You need to pivot really quickly. It's obvious that mom's not there anymore. Something's happening here. It's a massive shock. How are you going to handle the situation? Sure enough, police officers that are never present ever in the world of anime suddenly appears. These police officers are never around ever until something bad like this happens. That's incriminating will happen. And sure enough, one shows up. It's a massive gut punch. I didn't think it would be this soon. I really did. I was convinced that this was going to be a case. And again, like I said, it's especially around the idea that it keeps pointing out with Marika how she can't take this, or Take saying that she can't take this life from Marika. That yes, she wants to be with the Nejimas. She wants to be with her whole family. But she also doesn't want to steal Marika's life from her. And I think the moment she said that, it cemented in my mind they're going to have this story at some point have Take leave. And they're going to have to force to finally move on. You had your second chances here. You've gotten all that out of your system. All of your regrets are gone. Everybody's happy now, moving forward. Time to go back to Marika. And I just didn't think it was going to happen this soon. Episode 7, I didn't think it was going to happen. We still have so many more episodes left. We're just halfway through this series. What are we going to do here? Which makes me believe, with it happening so soon, it makes me believe they're probably going to have her memories come back again. Which that, I don't know, that would be, I was expecting a bittersweet ending. The idea of build it up to maybe episode 10, have her memories disappear, and then everybody's forced to finally move on, and we get a little bit of after story. But no, it does seem like they're going to go for the idea of her losing him now, which makes me believe, since it's so soon, that it's going to have it come back again later. We probably could have maybe like 3 or 4 episodes of her kind of them struggling over the idea that Take is gone again. Keisuke's, which really sucks because Keisuke, when he lost Take initially, it was like that. It was unexpected. It came out of nowhere. And now it's happening again, which is kind of really mean. It's really mean. He's probably going to crash really bad, which sucks. But it makes me believe that they're probably going to have a little bit of a moment where Keisuke is broken and then kind of moving on into, okay, it's time to move on. This was more than what most people get. And I think part of what is kind of skipped with the manga series, there's a bunch of emphasis on the idea of Take realizing we've had something. I mean, it got into it when they were on the boat. Take was talking on the boat about the idea that this is something that most people don't get to experience. Why me? And so this is a blessing. And he's going to probably have to realize that and kind of start moving on. And I wonder if at some point Take is going to come back again, see how they've kind of started moving on. Maybe Keisuke gets with Moriya. Again, the manga is putting much more emphasis on Moriya that's being skipped. Tons of Moriya stuff is being skipped. So maybe that's kind of where it's going to go, with the idea of him getting with Moriya. And then Take comes back again and goes, okay, good. You were able to move on. And now I can finally fully 100% rest. And Marika can have her life. I don't know. We'll see. I will say, though, it's very interesting. One chapter that was skipped from the manga is especially what I call it meta. It's very meta. Keisuke and Take go to the movie theaters. And this is before Take loses her memories. It actually jumped, it was like chapter 72 before finally Marika loses her memories. But anyways, in the manga, they go to the theaters and they watch a reincarnation movie. And in this movie, you have two people that are reincarnated. They get their memories back and they come back together and they're all happy. They're happy. And then as they leave the theater, Keisuke points out the fact that the original author, the original book that it was based off of, the novel, in that story, it was different than in the movie. The movie adapted it differently to the creator's choice. Like the creator wanted the movie to be different. The difference is that in the novel series, they regained their memories, got back together, reunited, but then they lost their memories again and weren't able to recognize each other. So there's a side of me that's kind of wondering, will they do that with the anime? Is this like one of those things of this is all pre-scripted? Like way back here, the mangaka was going, if I ever get adapted, I'm going to change it. I kind of wonder. So if that's the case, there's a possibility the manga for Tsumasho might end with her never getting her memories back, and the anime might end with her actually getting her memories back. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, technically, with the manga, she did end up forgetting herself, so that's already kind of disproven there. But it could mean that there's a possibility we might have a different ending for the actual anime adaptation. I don't know. We'll see. I just thought that was kind of a funny little note there. There's one other really massive skip content at this point, because we're at the point now where Take has lost her memories. And long before this, I can pretty much guess anything around Take and Keisuke and all them with her memories of Take is skip content at this point. They are doing a lot of rearranging, but this is going to be probably not covered. It's a really powerful scene in chapter 54, I think it was. Yeah, 54. Take is seeing that her mother is working really hard to do better. She's trying to look for a full-time job. She's, going to tons of interviews. She keeps getting rejected. They're saying, basically, yeah, she looks like she's got a pretty face, but she's not a good fit or whatever. Really nasty comments. But she's working really hard to find a stable full-time job to support her daughter now. She's trying to clean herself up. And Take is seeing this and seeing how hard she's working, how tired she is. And so she decides to ask her mother, hey, that photo that you have, it's of us at the amusement park. She's like, yeah, I had this dream of us all going as a family to the amusement park. I don't think it'll ever happen now. I don't think I'm ever going to have we're ever going to have that full family anymore. She's kind of given up on that dream. So she goes, okay, can you take me to the amusement park? And she invites Keisuke. She wants her, Keisuke, and her new mom to go all together to the amusement park as a family. And yes, sure enough, it's an extremely uncomfortable situation. They're going to this theme park. Take is trying to be cheery and happy, and Keisuke and her mom are just not really doing good. Chika and Keisuke are not vibing. This is a very uncomfortable situation because this is right after Keisuke literally chewed her out and said, you do not, mistreat your daughter. I will never forgive you for mistreating your daughter. And if you ever do this again, I'm going to take you away from her. Yeah, it basically is not a good situation. And eventually they do kind of go off to the side together, and Keisuke and Chika talk for a little bit. Now here's where it's a massive, really good little scene here, massive gut punch scene here. Chika points out that Take, or Marika, is acting very cheerful. She's trying to act like a child, but she's kind of conflicted because she knows that there's an adult inside of her body. Keisuke says that she wants to see you happy. That's what Take is doing that for. That's why she's acting like a child. She wants you to be happy. And she's like, no, it's hard for me to be happy, especially about all the things that you pointed out when you visited our house. And she knows they're all true. And she says, I want you to keep me from ever going back there. She's like, you said harsh things to me, but it's true, and I want you to help me out by keeping me from going back to being that person again. She decided that she doesn't want to forgive herself. And at this point, she admits that yes, she came to this amusement park before. This is the skip content. That yes, during the sports festival, when Mariko was having her sports festival, Take was having her sports festival, she came here with that guy on a date. She said the reason that she came to the theme park with him and not went to the sports festival, she knew about it, is because she was afraid of going to the sports festival because she knew that she would have gossipers around her talking behind her back. She didn't want to sit there and be judged by people. So she was escaping from reality and not going to the sports festival because of that. That's why she went there with her boyfriend. But she still hates herself. She's like, I wish I can go back and punch myself for doing that. Just punch myself. But after admitting all this stuff, Casey's like, the best thing you can do for Take, for Marika, right now is to be happy. Laugh for her sake. Be joyful. He says, I haven't changed my mind. I'm still not going to forgive you for what you've done to Take. But at the same time, I know that you're working hard to change yourself. And how I know that is because Take, she looks happier. She's smiling. Keisuke knows full well that something has changed in their household because he's seeing Take happy again. She's much more happier than she was before. It was a really little sweet moment there. And even later on, when they're going home and, Take falls asleep on the train, he's like, she's a normal kid in front of you. I can tell. That face, she's so happy. It's so great. It shows how much, things didn't kind of get swept under the rug after that whole situation in the previous episode. That there's still kind of a little tension here, but it shows a little bit more in how Keisuke is now sort of accepting the new mom, like the changed mom, rather than going into the stuff about Mai and her boyfriend becoming, hitched and everything. It really does kind of cement in the mind that, yes, things have changed for Keisuke. He's starting to, at this point, trust this lady with Take, which will probably be much more significant going in the next episode, obviously, because now it's Marika and it's no longer Take. Anyways, that's the skip content that I kind of noted. And again, there's a lot of other stuff, but I'm kind of assuming a lot of the stuff around Moriya, which again is a lot of the skip content, might be more prevalent in the coming episodes. We'll see. But yeah, the rest of this episode, really again around Mai and Aikawa, which I think was really fantastic. I think they're a great little... it shows it in the ending of the episode. There's really a significant amount of sort of parallels they're drawing here between Aikawa and Keisuke. This idea that Aikawa is just like Keisuke. He lost somebody, which we find out at this point, that it was a girl. That 8 years ago, this person that was his friend that got swept away by the ocean that he's been waiting for was a girl that he liked. It was somebody that he was actually into. So this other guy is like, yeah, this person, I figured they would be, the senpai, I thought that they would be the one that you would end up getting with, not Mai. So it's kind of interesting. And I do kind of, it is kind of a gut punch that Mai's like, is this a replacement for that person? Am I a replacement? I think that's sort of disrespectful. Mai, I'm sorry, girl. That was the most disrespectful thing that you could say to somebody. But no, it's Aikawa having to submit to her. Look, yeah, I was waiting for that person. But I think the more bigger gut punch is that Aikawa realizes that because of Mai's respect that she has for Keisuke and not forgetting about his wife, he was afraid of telling her about this girl because she would think little of him. Like, you think you have so much respect for him for sticking with his late mother, and for me to basically say I gave up on this girl, you would think that I was less of a person. But no, I'm deciding to give that person and finally move on with my life and accept you because I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Again, really cool parallels to Keisuke. And again, this is that moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, you are just flagging the hell out of the fact that Take is going to lose her memories. That we're going to have to force Keisuke to finally move on, because Keisuke is seeing that this is a cool person, that he's able to have the strength to give up on this person and move on with his life and find somebody new. And of course, the sad reality of that is that's probably easier said than done. Like, you can have that respect for him to be able to move on and find new love and all that kind of stuff, but Keisuke, he's going to crash again. I just know this boy's going to crash again. I'm dreading the next episode, by the way. I just know it's going to open up with Keisuke just being like, again, I had her, and again. And it's interesting that how they're kind of how they're basically with the anime adaptation navigating Keisuke and Take. Because yes, there's a lot of shots where you can see him looking over at Take and he's seeing Take, his wife. But there's so much more emphasis in the manga about his plans. Again, the 8 more years. This is all about the idea that Keisuke is waiting for the 8 more years. In 8 more years, we can get married again. In 8 more years. And that happened just right before the scene in the manga where Take loses their memories. As they have this brief moment together again, where they're like happy about everything that's happening and how everything's moving on. And then eventually he says it again. In 8 more years. In 8 more years, we can get married again. And even has Take finally, for once, bringing it up as well. Take is bringing it up, the idea of getting married again. So there is the idea here that, whereas before it was always something that Keisuke was saying, then everybody else is kind of like, oh yeah, I guess 8 more years. That's, yeah, I didn't think you'd want to vocalize that. But in the manga, just before she loses her memories, she brings it up, the idea of getting married again, which, if I remember correctly, in the manga has never been something that Take has brought up with Keisuke, the idea of them getting married again in 8 years when she's of legal age and they can get married. Very interesting. It's sort of a little bit more impact to have her actually state it, but still. Anywho, that's, I think, pretty much everything in this episode. Really, really great episode. Again, gut punch. I'm not looking forward to where this is going. And again, very, very shocked this is happening so soon, which does kind of lead me to believe that this is either going to be, I guess, giving a significant portion of the story to just the after story, so to speak, the after the wife, and really kind of moving on, rather than it be about possibly, again, what my assumption is going to be is that eventually, after kind of moving forward, she comes back again to see how everything has been fixed, how everybody's moved on. Because again, that could be really the case here. Yes, he's distraught. He's lost her again, but then maybe Moria, walks in the picture. He gets married with Moria. Mai is crushed for a little bit, but she has Aikawa to support her. Everybody's married and happy and kind of moving on with their lives. And over here, Marika is, getting with Takeru and they're growing up. And maybe you might have a little bit of a time jump here to where the point in which Take is an adult. And then she finally gets those memories back and she's able to go back to Keisuke and see, okay, everything worked out fine. And they become friends. As adults, they just become friends and just hang out. I don't know. I'm very curious at this point, again, because I wasn't really expecting it to happen so soon. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, you did hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know what you think of this whole twist. If you're a manga reader, I don't need spoilers. Again, I'm just reading up to the point the anime is at. I don't want to read beyond that. But let me know in the comments down below. In addition, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe if you leave. If you like this content and you want to support channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. But until next time, y'all take care.